Welcome to the show, guys. Obviously, this week is Star Wars week, and me and my co-host Jackson here have watched all of the original trilogy as well as a couple of the prequels in anticipation for The Force Awakens. We've also seen that as well. So today we'll probably be reviewing that, talking about the original and prequels, as well as a couple nice pitches that we have for the Star Wars universe as well. And at the end we'll probably play some movie mashup game. Movie game, whatever it's called. But yeah, let me go ahead and introduce my co-host, Jackson.
Hey, it's me, Jackson here, and I'm excited to talk to you guys here about Star Wars.
All right. Well, like we said, we did see Force Awakens. Do you want to kind of review that first?
Let's go ahead and start with, because we just finished like an hour ago. We just finished watching the entire Star Wars. We watched the machete cut of Star Wars, where we watched 4, 5, and then we went back. We watched 2 and 3, and then we watched 6. So I just wanted to kind of talk to you about how'd you feel about the actual machete cut and watching it that way.
You know, I didn't think it wasn't that bad because I think it really kind of helped me feel a little bit more towards for the last one.
Yeah.
Because it kind of was like it gave you these 2 great ones, then you had to sit through these 2 bad ones, then you got to watch the last one, which a lot of people kind of consider like half bad, half good, and I kind of was like, this is really good, because I watched those 2 bad ones in between. So it also kind of made me feel a little bit more towards Darth Vader and stuff, because I was like, okay, well, I seen him become, Darth Vader with the 2 prequels we watched.
Yeah. I think as I was watching them here, like when we finished Revenge of the Sith, I was kind of like, oh, this machete cut really doesn't make sense. But then when we started watching Return of the Jedi, and like everything that Yoda said in that one scene where he's telling them about it, and it just, you start to like, because of the prequels, you start to like add like things that aren't actually there in the movie, but it starts to like come together in your mind where you're like, man, yeah, Yoda's really painfully telling him that he's his father because all this stuff that happened in Revenge of the Sith. So it really does. It makes Return of the Jedi so much better when you watch it this way. I'm surprised. I feel like the internet is right. The machete cut is the best way to watch the Star Wars movies if you're going to watch all of them. Like, don't watch them like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't watch them 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. I think machete cut is the best way to watch them.
Yeah, machete cut is the best way. Because then you also, it's like you said, one of the reasons we didn't watch Phantom Menace was because
it has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, there's nothing to do with it, and it's got a lot of, like, garbage in it.
Yeah.
So.
And it's too long, and you're just watching one more bad movie. I suppose you can watch it before or after if you want, But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I just wanted to kind of touch on that before we go into Force Awakens. So, what did you think of Force Awakens?
I really liked it a lot. I think I kind of wish we had done it before we had went and seen it. I'd like to see it again now that I've seen all of them. Just to kind of be like, okay, well, this is all connected, or, just to see if I have, some feelings towards it, because I know we watched the trailers and I kind of was like, oh man, I'd like to see it again now.
Yeah.
After seeing all of them together.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. As much as it pained me to admit that I didn't want it to be a good movie. Me, obviously, a fan of Marvel. I want Marvel's movies to be. I want superhero movies, not just Marvel movies. Marvel and DC movies to be the best movies around. But yeah, this was really good. Like, I gotta admit, it's like it's up there. It's almost my favorite movie of the year. Like Mad Max has taken the cake for me, but Star Wars is really close. And if I go see Star Wars again and it's just as good, I don't know. It might overtake Mad Max for my favorite movie of the year. But we've got a rating system here on Movie Morons for movies. We don't do like 5 out of 10 or 10 out of 5 or whatever. We don't do shit like
10 out of 5.
We don't do shit like these other morons do. We have 2 ratings. It sucked or it's pretty good. So out of the 2 ratings here, did you think it either sucked or did you think it was pretty good?
I have to say, Jackson, it was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good too.
Yep. I will say though, it kind of sucked that nobody got their arm chopped off.
Yeah, nobody got their arm chopped off here.
Spoilers.
No, I think
Now, okay, so we won't go into spoilers, of course, but I kind of ruined it that nobody gets their arm chopped off.
you know what? I want to go into spoilers.
Okay, so we'll go into spoilers straight ahead then.
Yeah, straight ahead spoilers.
So we'll do spoilers
So
then
from here
non-spoilers.
on now,
Spoilers, non-spoilers.
we'll just do spoilers. I mean, who
Okay.
cares about non-spoilers here? I think, if you haven't watched Star Wars yet, pause it, go buy a ticket, go watch Star Wars, and come back and listen to this later because we want to just talk about Star Wars. I mean, there's no point in talking about it without spoilers here.
True.
So, spoilers starting now.
Yeah, we're not smart enough to kind of tell you about the movie and then
Yeah.
also kind of
Yeah,
evade.
I don't even want to risk saying that this is not spoilers and then be like, yeah, so then Han Solo.
Then Chewbacca died and Luke was dead and stuff like that, and you were like, what? And
Okay,
those
so
are
from
big-
here on out, I'm going to tell a big spoiler. Han Solo's dead.
Yep.
Han Solo died at the end of this movie. Kylo Ren is his son. So if you were still listening at this point,
That's
you're
your
already
fault.
messed
It's
up.
your fault.
So I'm going to go through this top 10 list, though, because it's been like a day and we've watched all the Star Wars movies. And I watched another Star Trek movie in between. So I watched a lot of movies in between seeing
about
this.
space.
So I'm looking at a top 10 best moments in Force Awakens list, and we'll kind of talk about this. So the first best moment on this list is the Millennium Falcon resurrected. I mean, how did you feel about that?
This is number 1.
This is number 10, I think.
Number 10. I thought it was a great moment because it's like we kind of talked about. I really liked the line where they were both running, and he was like, John Boyega's character Finn pointed to the side and was like, "What about that ship?" And she said, "No, that ship's garbage." And I when she said that, I kind of thought, is it just a pile of garbage? Like that's what I thought she meant it as. Like, no, silly, that's just a pile of garbage. And then the ship they were running towards blew up. And then she was like, I guess we're going to have to go to the garbage ship. And then the camera pans and it shows them running towards the ship, and it's the Millennium Falcon. And I thought that was such a cool moment because it was like, they don't realize what the Millennium Falcon
How awesome the Millennium. Yeah, I thought that they were just going to go with a visual gag when she said it was garbage. They didn't show it. It blew up. I was like, oh, so they're going to cut to the other ship and it's going to look like garbage or something like that, and they're going to have to try and fly it. I didn't expect that it was going to be the Millennium Falcon, even though I should have.
Yeah, I mean,
Looking
in all
back,
the trailers.
I should have, but I mean, it was a really great moment, a really awesome introduction for the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, and then also just the chase sequence after that too was cool. The way she was flying it almost better than Han Solo did, flying it through the plane and stuff like that. At that point, I was kind of like, she's got the Force. She's got to be Force sensitive.
She's got it going on. What do you think about that first scene where you first see Kylo Ren, where you see Poe Dameron is running away from Kylo Ren? After he's talked to Max von Sydow, and then Kylo Ren comes in and makes his big appearance.
I think we kind of talked about that. I really enjoyed Kylo Ren as a villain. I think in a lot of ways I think in a lot of ways maybe he's not as good as Vader, but I think he's really close. I think he had a lot of coolness about him, and you brought up that scene was really cool where Poe Dameron shoots him, tries to shoot a blaster at him, and he stops the blast.
Yeah, he
bullet,
stops the laser in midair. Yeah, that's specifically what I was talking about. That was a really awesome scene. I think that made Kylo Ren really cool. The way he used his Force powers were cool. It's like I said, we talked about this earlier, where I felt like Darth Vader. You're never going to top Darth Vader.
No.
But I feel like they came in and they made a character that was like, I want to be Darth Vader. And I feel like that was cool. Like, he's a guy who's like, I want to be Darth Vader, but I'm never going to be Darth Vader. He's a little whinier. He's a little, more temper tantrum throwing, things like that. And I thought that made him a cool villain. He was kind of like if we got to continue see Hayden Christensen play Darth Vader, which actually wasn't that bad. I'm surprised.
No, I mean, I think to the testament of the, actor, I thought he was a lot better too. Because if you watch Hayden Christensen, he's very wooden. I think he's able to portray that a lot better in this movie than in the prequels. So
now
they didn't give him terrible dialogue either.
Mm-hmm. Now, as far as Kylo Ren was very cool, but I don't know. I felt like Adam Driver did an okay job. He did a good job, but I feel like you could have got somebody who was maybe better. Because I feel like the first time he takes his helmet off, you're kind of like, man, this guy is kind of goofy looking.
I mean, yeah.
And I don't think that works I don't think that works for the character well. Like, because he kind of looks kind of Howard Sternish. So when he first takes his helmet off, like, in my head, I'm just like, he looks like Howard Stern. He's got really goofy ears and big nose and stuff like that.
But I don't know. It's like I said, I think a lot of the actors that they've chosen kind of all have like this quality about them that kind of make them look handsome. Because I think John Boyega, he kind of looks funny, but he's got like a Denzel Washington look about him. Yeah. So he's kind of like, well, he's kind of handsome looking.
Yeah, and Adam Driver's kind of got like a more handsome Howard Stern
look. Well, the thing is he's got the long hair. He's got the long hair that kind of covers up his big ears. He's got like a big nose.
Those ears are pretty big.
But I mean, like I said, I thought he played
amount
it.
Of long hair is gonna cover.
I thought he played it way better than like.
I thought he did a good job. But
he did
there's
a good
just
job.
some scenes where you're like, he's Harrison Ford's son.
Yeah, I mean,
handsome Harrison Ford. No wonder he hates his dad.
Like, what do I look like?
He's like, why do I look like Howard Stern? He's like, I don't know.
Leia.
All right, but the next moment here in this list is BB-8's thumbs up, and that's one thing that I liked about this movie is that this was like the funniest Star Wars that there's ever been.
Yeah, I mean, watching all of them, like none of them are at least intentionally funny.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them, especially the original trilogy.
They're all fairly funny, but this one was just really funny. This was this was almost as funny as Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, it had a lot of jokes and quips and, everything like that, callbacks and references that, that I think, like you said, kind of made it like Guardians of the Galaxy. Whereas the originals didn't really have that so much. It kind of more had like Han Solo, like, interacting with Chewbacca or, something like that. But like Luke wasn't really funny or Leia wasn't funny. I think the newer characters had a lot of good moments too. Especially Finn and Poe Dameron. They had a lot of good funny moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did.
And like we said, BB-8.
BB-8's thumbs up here. I mean, this was a hilarious scene. It's one of the scenes that I'm like, whenever I think of this scene, it makes me want to go back and watch the whole movie again. Where Finn is trying to, convince Rey and keep his facade going that he's part of the Resistance. And so he's trying to, negotiate with BB-8 so that BB-8 will tell him where the Resistance base is. And BB-8 gives him like a little thumbs up with his like little robot part here to kind of let him know that he's got his back. And yeah, that was a really funny moment.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I was kind of confused by that though, because at first I didn't think it was. I kind of thought maybe it's a thumbs up, but then I also kind of thought like, is he kind of giving him the finger? Like, screw you.
I suppose it could be construed as a finger too, but I think he had his back.
I wasn't sure because I thought either way it was a funny moment, but I was like, well, I wonder, was he giving him the finger instead of that? But
next moment here is Han gives the laser crossbow a try.
Chewie's weapon. Bowcaster.
Yeah, I didn't like that moment that much.
Yeah, it was kind of like, you never tried it before.
Yeah, I know. It's like, is this the first time? I mean, geez, you've been hanging out with him for like 40 years and you've never tried the laser pistol. And how different is the laser pistol anyway from a regular blaster?
Yeah, no, and I mean, he's got the blaster, his blaster pistol, but it's like, he never, like I said, he never tried it before, or he's never had a bigger weapon that he's like, well, I just thought, I mean, that kind of made me feel like, well, that blaster's not very good then, because he's like, well, because I always thought, like, this is my trusty blaster that I keep with me at all times.
Why didn't he grab a second laser crossbow then?
I don't know. Yeah, he could have found one somewhere, like a junk dump.
Next one here, or you could have gotten to the planet of the Chewbacca's that we saw in
Yeah, they
Revenge
all
of the
had
Sith,
those.
and they all had them. Rey discovers the lightsaber. Yeah, that part was cool, especially when Rey first touches it and she hears all the screams of the children that Anakin killed with it.
Yeah, I guess that is the same lightsaber Anakin killed all those Padawan children with. So.
Yeah, but she touches it and there's like all these child screams and stuff.
Well, we
like
don't know
that.
if that's the child
She
screams,
has
but
this fever vision and stuff like that with it. So that was a pretty cool moment. I like that. That was all right.
yeah, I mean, Rey discovering she was a Jedi, was kind of cool. Because I kind of thought, throughout the whole thing, I thought, whatchamacallit was going to be the Jedi, and then, to figure out she was, the Jedi instead, I was like, oh, that's still cool, having a female character be the Jedi. I was slightly disappointed, but at the same time, I was like, this is still really cool.
Yeah, because we were all for the brother getting to be the Jedi and stuff like that. Which it looks like he'll kind of get to play the Han Solo role. I hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was fine. The next one here is Han reuniting with Leia for the first time. That was nice. I liked all their dialogue there about their son and stuff like that. That was cool. Kind of wish you kind of could have known more about what happened with them, between them, and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I thought what we got was fine.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like, well, I mean, I think you got enough, going forward, because it's like they said it was that they had kind of his son had kind of turned evil and stuff like that, and he's mentioned that, like, we had to deal with it in our own ways, and so I guess that meant that Han had to go back to being a smuggler, and she, like, went back to joining the Resistance and stuff like that. So I guess that gave me enough to kind of be like, okay, well, they didn't really seem like they broke up as much as it was kind of like a separation of some sorts of, like, this is how we have to handle it. We have to go our separate ways for now. But, yeah, like you said, I liked their interaction. I thought that was cool.
Certainly. And right before they meet, though, there's another one of those funny moments where, he comes up, you see them see each other there, and then C3PO, like, leans in the frame, and then he's like, "It is I, C3PO, your old friend." Mm. And he starts, talking to Han and stuff like that. And I thought that was a funny introduction.
Yeah, because and he was like, "You probably don't recognize me because of my red arm."
Yeah. Yeah, there was some funny quips there. I've heard a lot of people be like, friggin' C3PO can die, friggin' I hate him because he was in the prequels and stuff like that. We just watched the prequels. I mean, was he that annoying in the prequels?
No.
I mean, he was in...
he was about as annoying as he was in all of them. I think he was more annoying in the originals because...
Yeah, he wasn't really in the prequels as much as I thought he was, either.
Yeah.
I mean, you had that whole silly part where he gets his head switched and stuff, but that's really all he really does.
Yeah, and then in the third one, he doesn't really do anything either.
Yeah, he's not really in there at all.
A lot of it, like the second one, he doesn't come in until they go to Uncle Owen's place, his moisture farm or whatever. Yeah. And then in the third one, like I said, he didn't really do much.
Yeah, so I don't know why people were all on C3PO's dick over this, but yeah, I don't feel like he's that annoying, really.
No. Not as much as Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
Jar Jar Binks is... I guess C-3PO is like the more extreme Jar Jar Binks. Oh, no. Jar Jar Binks is the most extreme C-3PO to where he was like a main character, but also like he's way more annoying than C-3PO is.
Oh, yeah. C-3PO is funny.
Yeah, C-3PO is funny at times. He's comic relief.
I'd say 8 times out of 10, C-3PO is usually funny. But the next one here is that kind of final moment between father and son, Han Solo and Kylo Ren. Mm-hmm. What'd you feel about that?
Thing is, obviously we're kind of in tune with like the internet and everything like that. So for a long time we've kind of figured that, we didn't know it, but we kind of figured Han Solo was gonna die. So personally for me, when I saw it, it was sad and all, but like I didn't really, get sad with it because I didn't like, well up or...
Because you were expecting that it was going to happen.
Yeah, because I knew it was going to happen. I was just like, yep, I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, it kind of more intrigued me, which was one of the things that makes Kylo Ren's character more interesting is because Kylo Ren just seems really crazy to me. I don't know if you got that feeling, but it just kind of feels like that he's just a really misguided, kind of unbalanced kid that's like, he feels and he mentions this, that he feels like the internal struggle in him of the dark side and the light, and he doesn't know what to do. He feels like if he goes to the light side, he's always going to have this, weird conflict. But if he can completely surrender himself to the dark side, then he'll be fine. And it feels like that he's like, I have to kill my father because it's one of my only connections to being good left. So I thought that was interesting, and I'd be excited to explore that further, and what him and Colonel Snoke or whatever the dude's name is,
What's his name?
Supreme Leader Snoke. What their kind of relationship is, and I'd like to see the effects of this go on, and him kind of like be like, I killed my father and I still don't feel any better and stuff like that. So
yeah. I mean, it was a good death for Han Solo, because I know he said in Return of the Jedi he always wanted him to be killed off, and I think with having him in the movie and having to kill him off, because of course Harrison Ford had made him kill him off, that I think that was a good way to kill him off, because like you said, it can become an internal struggle down the road.
Mm-hmm. And the last one here is the very final seconds of the movie is when we finally get to see Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, like Luke Skywalker wasn't in the movie until the very end, and at the end he's got like 30 seconds of screen time. He doesn't say anything, but just like looks on as Rey is there with his lightsaber.
Yeah. But it was a really cool, super powerful moment that kind of ended on this awesome cliffhanger that just makes you like, I just really want to see the second one, because I want to see what Luke has to say, because he's just he's the most important man in this universe, really. And to kind of see why he's in his own self-exile, what he thinks of everything, what he knows about his, friend's death and Han Solo. Mm-hmm. The possibility that I feel like, and we've disagreed about this, but I feel like it's heavily implied that Rey may be his daughter. So I'd like to see some further explanation.
Well, I didn't disagree with it, but I just feel like, it could definitely be true. I think he could definitely be Rey's father, but I think...
I think they dropped...
I don't think they should.
They dropped some hints.
I don't think they should, is what I was saying.
Okay. I think that they dropped enough hints that she is his daughter or she's somebody. Another scene that I think somebody else mentioned is when she gets off the ship and she like hugs Leia or whatever, or Leia comes and hugs her while everybody else is partying and stuff like that, where it's like, why is Leia hugging her? This is the first time they've met. Like, they didn't meet at all before.
That is true.
She'd only heard about her. So there's some sort of connection there, I think.
Well, yeah, I guess. I
mean, because if she's like, I'm sad because Han Solo died, it's like, why am I hugging this girl I never met when I'm sure I have like so many other people here that I've known for years.
I guess, yeah.
So I think there's got to be some sort of connection. I don't think it would be a Star Wars movie if there was.
Or maybe it's just that was just a script flaw.
Or maybe it was just a script flaw. They were like, we needed somebody for her to hug.
Yeah, she couldn't hug Finn because Finn was knocked out. She couldn't hug Han Solo because Han Solo's dead.
She could hug Chewie.
Yeah, but who wants to hug Chewie?
What? Chewie looks so soft and...
Yeah, he's probably got like fleas, space fleas at that too.
Fleas. Still, though, Chewie probably needed a hug too. She could have hugged Admiral Akbar.
It's a trap!
It's a trap!
Get off me, woman! It's a trap. That was something I was disappointed in too. That we all know Admiral Akbar's classic line is "It's a trap," and I was kind of hoping that like there's a sequence where he's there with everybody and they're talking about their plan, and somebody's talking and then he says something. I was kind of hoping he would say, "It could be a trap." Yeah. I was just kind of hoping that he would say that. I was like, "Come on, say it!" But they didn't say it.
They didn't do it. Yeah, JJ, You missed a perfect opportunity right there. I think you're going to be kicking yourself for years.
Because do you think people would have been mad? I don't think people would have been mad.
I think people would have cheered.
Yeah, I'd have been like, yes!
I think everybody would have gotten up, cheered, and left the theater because there's nothing that
Yeah,
movie could
they're
have
like,
done
it's
to
right
top
before the
that.
final battle, and they're like, there's nothing that could be better.
There's nothing they can do to top this.
I don't know, they killed
I'm
Han
gonna
Solo.
go home. Hey, I mean, it was a trap.
It's a trap.
But yeah, I think that's it for this movie. I thought it's a good movie. As much as I was skeptical about it, they did a good job.
I wasn't really ever skeptical about it, as much as I was just kind of like, it'd be kind of cool if it was bad, because we've kind of talked about this. We don't really have necessarily like an emotional attachment to the Star Wars movies. When we were kids, we pretty much had the prequels, and we didn't really care too much for them. We are more of comic book fans. So it's like I said, my Star Wars is like Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies and stuff like that are like, these are my movies. These are the movies I look up to.
Mm-hmm.
That whenever I watch them, I cry and stuff like that because I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. But, so yeah, I was kind of like, well, maybe if it's bad, then everybody will hate it so much, and it'll just be fun to see everybody be so mad at this because it's bad.
Yeah. And, I mean, we've said a lot of good things about it. I would say my one criticism of it is I feel like it's not so original. I feel like there's a lot of, like, this movie had a lot of the same beats as the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope. Mm-hmm. You look at it, there's a lot of the same things that happens, and it just kind of goes from, this battle at the beginning with the stormtroopers and rebels, and then the bad guy comes in and he captures the dude and stuff like that, all the way to Han Solo dying at the end, just like Obi-Wan Kenobi did. So, and then blowing up another Death Star. So yeah, it hit a lot of the same beats, which isn't a knock against it. It's still a great movie. I think it lacks originality, and I feel like in the future, I may be worried about where can they go, because it's like this movie was kind of easy to do, because you're just kind of doing the first movie again. But the second movie, are we just going to get Empire Strikes Back again with a lot of the same beats, or are you going to try and branch off? And when you branch off, is the branching off going to be successful? So yeah, there's a lot of questions and a lot of uncertainty I have about the future movies, but
it's kind of like,
was definitely awesome.
It's kind of like I told you that I think a lot of the directors, like the next director they've chosen is Rian Johnson, who did
Director of
Looper and Brick. But I think that he's kind of more of a story-driven guy, and I think that doing this the way they did it, I think is the safer route, just to at least put their foot down and say, this is what we're going to try. We're trying to do this, guys. Very similar to the original trilogy. We're not trying to do something really different like George Lucas did with the prequels. I think he did something really different with those.
Yep.
Not a lot of people liked it. They're like, well, this is a safe choice.
But after watching it, it's like I do got to give him props that, he really tried to tell stories that were just that had not been told before.
Yeah.
They had problems, and they could have been better, but I do got to give them props for really trying to do something different.
Yeah, it's like, he tried to do something really different. He tried to, try to make everybody seem different than they did before. He didn't want to just kind of be like, okay, well, the love story is very similar to Han and Leia's, where it's like they hate each other, but then they eventually love each other. And I think that was something that he probably consciously had in the back of his mind, that, that I don't want to just kind of redo what I did before. But I think for Force Awakens, I think that was the right move to do. I know it's like you said, it kind of makes you worried, but I don't think you should be, because I think they have enough stuff set in place that we won't see that going forward again, hopefully. I mean, if in the second one they're like, we're going to build another Star Killer base, and then it's like, okay, well, the Star Killer base was already the big thing. Maybe they didn't have to blow up the Star Killer base either. Maybe that could have been like something that, was a lingering plot thread throughout all of them. But
yeah, if they could have figured out a way to do that differently, that might have been better. But yeah, we'll see. I'll be excited to see. I'll be excited. I'm excited for Rogue One too. I think I was coming into this. I was equally excited for both of those movies. So I'd like to see what if Rogue One can deliver as well. But yeah, that's all I got to say about Star Wars.
I think watching it too, it kind of made me, watching this, then going back and watching all of them. I think I'm a Star Wars fan now. I really wasn't before too much. I was like, yeah, I've seen them. They're fine. I appreciate them for what they are, but I think now I'm more of a Star Wars fan.
Star Wars are good movies. I wouldn't say, I mean, obviously I'm a Star Wars fan, because I do like Star Wars movies, but I'm definitely much more of a Star Trek guy. I watched The Undiscovered Country this morning, in between our Star Wars marathon, just because,
Which one was that? Was that the one after the...
Yeah, that's the one after the one about God. That's the one.
And the one about God was after the one about whales.
Yeah, so this is the next good one after the whales. This is the one before Generations. But yeah, that was a good one. It had Christopher Plummer in it, Klingon, stuff like that. That was an awesome movie. That was better than definitely the prequels.
Oh, the prequels. Okay.
Yeah, it was a good movie. You guys ought to check that out if you guys are Trekkies. Soon, one day, Star Trek will come in and take over.
Yeah, like with Star
and
Trek
become
Beyond.
the best state star
stuff. I think Star Trek's too boring. But
that's an argument for another day.
Yeah. So Jackson,
Time to get off our high horse and stop talking about movies and start pitching them.
I was about to do a transition, but whatever.
Sorry. You do your transition.
No, it's too late now. Jackson, you got a pitch for us?
Yeah. Since it's Star Wars week here, I've got a couple Star Wars themed pitches to kind of throw at you here. So let me know what you think. The first one is going to be set before the prequels. Just
so
slightly.
before Phantom Menace.
Before Phantom Menace, or maybe it could be like at the same time.
Now, is this going to be an anthology movie, or is it going to be like
it's gonna
episode,
be an
the
anthology.
real episode 1?
No, this is an anthology movie. Okay. Straight up here, I think there's only maybe a couple characters that we've seen before that are even going to be in this. Mostly, it's going to be a feature for Jango Fett.
Okay, so Jango Fett.
Jango
Not
Fett.
Boba Fett.
We're going to see what Jango Fett was doing before episode 2. We'll get to see some badass things done. Essentially, it's going to be the story. Have you ever seen Collateral?
Yeah.
With Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be kind of like Collateral, but with Jango Fett as the Tom Cruise role, and Jamie Foxx is going to be, in my movie, Brendan Fraser.
The original Chris Pratt, as you like to say.
As I like to say, he's like the prototype for Chris Pratt. Because he was like that original funny action hero guy, except he wasn't in very good movies.
No.
He was only in like one good
we don't know.
movie.
Like I said, he was in one good movie, and Chris Pratt's been in 2.
He's been in 2. Be like if Chris Pratt did nothing but garbage from here on out.
Well, it depends.
The 2 movies that Chris Pratt
say.
has done so far have been like way better than The Mummy. So
well, of course, yes. Both of them have made like hundreds of millions.
Chris Pratt is already elevated higher than Brendan Fraser could ever dream to go.
It is true.
But when Brendan Fraser makes his comeback
in
this movie
Star
here,
Wars
which
movie.
I call The Bounty Hunter's Valet.
So it's going to be called Star Wars: The Bounty Hunter's Ballet. Valet.
Valet, yeah.
Ballet.
Not the ballet. Valet. And Brendan Fraser's character's name is going to be Billups. Billups. He's a lowly space cab driver who's just driving around some city. I don't know all the names of planets and cities and stuff, but he's in some seedy, like, New York, Times Square, like Space City, And
Is it like, so it's very similar to like the prequels?
Yeah,
like
prequels where there's all these flying cars and stuff like that. He's driving some flying taxi. He picks up a guy. The guy turns out to be Jango Fett, famed bounty hunter. And Jango Fett pulls out his laser pistol there, and pretty much hijacks Brendan Fraser's taxi cab. Tells him that, hey, I want you to go here. They drive him somewhere, and essentially the backstory is, and we'll probably see this at the beginning of the movie, but Boba Fett has actually been hired. He's been paid to capture a certain Jedi.
So Jango Fett's going after a Jedi.
He's going after a Jedi who's been meddling in the wrong type of business here. I want to have some sort of crime boss. I don't want to go to Jabba the Hutt again, but he's like another Jabba the Hutt type guy. Hires Jango Fett to take down this Jedi who's been muddling in this business here. So Jango Fett goes out, he steals, he hijacks Billups in his cab. They go to the area where Jango Fett's got to do this. Billups is scared. I mean, he's not a hero. He's not anything. He's just a lowly cab driver. But he's getting, he's
good old Billups.
Exactly. He's good old Billups there. He's reliable. He's silly. Maybe you got some, some funny lines, some quips back and forth of him being scared and stuff like that. Jango Fett. They stop off at this place. Jango Fett comes in. Billups is in his car. He's scared. He sees some lights going off, some laser fire, stuff like that. He hears the sound of a lightsaber, and then some action scene is going on. We don't get to see it though. But Jango Fett comes out. He's got a Jedi handcuffed, or he's got a Jedi restrained.
Yeah,
he's got some restraints on him. He's got maybe something on him to stop him from using mind tricks or something like that. Some sort of midichlorian suppressor or something like that. So he takes him because he's like, I need this.
You're gonna bring
alive.
back the midichlorians?
Well, I mean, just as an explanation,
Jango gonna say this is a midichlorian disruptor?
Hey, maybe it does. Midichlorians exist. Can't take them back now.
Well, I mean, in the new one, they didn't mention them at all.
They didn't mention them, but I mean, because they don't know about them. But Jango Fett does. This is around episode 1, so
I know what Jango.
He knows. I know about midichlorians.
Okay, go ahead.
So he's got some sort of suppressor on him, so he can't use the Force. He puts him in the cab. He's like, now we got to take him over here, and this Jedi is played by John Malkovich.
So the Jedi that Jango Fett has captured
is John Malkovich.
John Malkovich. Does he have a name?
I think I came up with one real quick. This isn't final, but his name is Tardif Coattail.
Cardiff.
Tardif.
Tardif.
Tardif Coattail.
Coattail?
Coattail.
Coattail. Okay.
Sort of like TARDIS Coattail, but Tardif Coattail.
Okay.
So John Malkovich is Tardif Coattail. He puts him in the cab. He's like, this situation I've got myself in now, and he tells Brendan Fraser to drive.
Is that what is he gonna say? I have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, maybe he says something stupid like that.
And it's like, no duh, John Malkovich.
No duh. However, watching the movies, I have a bad feeling about this. Usually, it's being used in a no duh situation, like. Yes. Han Solo is tied up and he's being roasted alive, and he's like, I've got a bad feeling about this in the third one. So
yeah, and in all the prequels.
They're
about to get murdered. Oh, I've got a bad feeling about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Anakin Skywalker is sitting there with his arms and legs chopped off on fire, and he's like, I've got a bad feeling about this.
Oh, I've got a bad feeling about this. My arms and legs are gone.
I hate you.
Fire.
So Jango Fett. So they're in a car. Jango Fett, John Malkovich, Brendan Fraser, and
he's driving. He's the
he's driving. He's the getaway driver here, and he's trying to take him back to the guy that originally hired him at the beginning, who I have not named or cast, but probably should have.
Okay.
So they're going there. Let me see. Is there anything that happens in between?
Because you've got it all written down. You usually like to write all these.
Yeah, I've got some notes written down here. He takes him back. He takes him back to the guy that hired him here. And you go in, you see the scene played out. He's like, you guys stay in the car. I'm going to go talk to the crime boss or whatever. He goes in. Crime boss decides that he's, that he's not up for it anymore. He's like, now that I think about it, I don't want to get involved with the Jedi Council here. This guy, I don't want to kill this guy and possibly get in hot water. So he backs out of the deal. Jango Fett gets mad. He kills the guy. He kills all of his staff or whatever. He comes in just in anger. You have some really cool badass scene where, he kills them all really quick or something like that. There's like 15 guys in there. And then he comes out all mad and stuff like that. While he's in there, John Malkovich eventually talks Brendan Fraser into being brave enough to let him go. So Brendan Fraser lets John Malkovich go. Now, there is some backstory, though, also, that I should have explained earlier. John Malkovich is a dirty Jedi, though.
Like he accepts bribes
Well,
and plants evidence?
Kind of. He's kind of more like a dirty, hairy Jedi to where he's using the Force to kind of lobotomize criminals and stuff like that. To where he's just he uses the Jedi mind tricks and mind control and things like that to lobotomize criminals and make them, to really invade personal space.
But not really to go to the dark side.
No, he's not the dark side. He's really kind of totalitarian. Well, he's kind of dark side.
So is he more totalitarian, or is he just kind of I like to have fun with people, or whatever?
He's more totalitarian, but that's more dark side.
Yeah, so he is the dark side.
So he's he is kind of dark side-ish. He's a dirty Jedi. He's still working as a Jedi, and he doesn't feel like he's being the dark side, but that's what he's doing. Is he's really just intimidating and just, lobotomizing people into doing what he wants them to do. But Brendan Fraser doesn't know this. He's just it's just a Jedi. It's like a cop or whatever. Yeah. So he lets him go. John Malkovich, gets out of the cab or whatever, pulls out his lightsaber. He's got a blue or green one.
Whatever.
He doesn't have a purple one. But Jango Fett comes out. You have this awesome, badass lightsaber Jango Fett fight. Even better than the one between him and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Because they're more evenly matched. But Jango Fett eventually gets the upper hand, just kills John Malkovich. Because he's I don't need you alive anymore. Because
the deal went sour.
Yeah, because the deal went sour. I don't have the money. It's all just a waste of time. He kills him or whatever. It's just don't need you. And friggin' Brendan Fraser is oh shit, that dude was my only hope. Now
he was my only hope.
He was my only hope. I let him go, and now fucking Jango Fett's gonna be pissed. And Jango Fett is pissed. And he goes over to Brendan Fraser and he's hey man, that wasn't cool.
Hey man, that wasn't cool.
He's I'm sorry, dude, but well, maybe he comes over maybe first and he's drive me here or whatever. And Brendan Fraser is no. And he finally musters enough bravery to be no, I'm done with this. I want to go home. I don't want to be a party to all of this madness anymore. And Jango Fett is well, then I'll just kill you then. And then he's but I've got a wife and kids and stuff like that. And he's just maybe Jango Fett is you know what, you got balls and I like you, but I'm still going to have to kill you. And I've always wanted to have kids of my own. So you kind of plant a little, thing for the prequels.
For why he's I want a clone so I can have him.
Yeah, for why he wants there. Maybe he bonds for him a second. He gives a little monologue about how he's always wanted a son or something like that, and how he would name him Boba and stuff. Just for a little fan service.
He's what's your son's name? And he's oh, it's John or whatever. And he's I've always liked the name Boba.
Yeah. Maybe he's
turns
his
to the
name,
camera.
What's your son's name? And he's Han.
Oh.
But then Jango Fett just shoots him in the chest, and then takes the car and leaves, and then drives off in the sunset. Goes to credits.
So it doesn't even end Collateral, where he finally beats Jango Fett or whatever.
No, I mean the thing is that he's I was brave enough to stand up to him, and then he shot me because he's Jango Fett. What am I standing up to Jango Fett for? Jango Fett is way more powerful than Tom Cruise in Collateral.
True.
Billups didn't stand a chance, even if he is Han Solo's father.
So is he dead?
Yeah, he's dead.
It's not like he's like, oh, I'm still alive, or
Nope.
like I could go home to my family.
Yeah, like me, I mean, at the end, like he's bleeding out or whatever.
Is it kind of like in Bruges, where like in Bruges style, where it's kind of like, does he die or is he still alive or?
Yeah, yeah. The way you'd see him, he's not definitely dead. He's like more probably dead.
So he's just kind of like, ah!
I mean, like if this came out and it was like
Or
a
whatever.
$1 billion hit or whatever, and people are like, Brendan Fraser is back, then maybe you could write it. There's enough room that you could squeeze him back to life or whatever. But yeah, but in my version, yeah, he's dead,
Okay.
and Han Solo has to grow up without a father.
So is it he's Han Solo's dad?
Yeah, he's Philip Solo.
Was that intentional, or is that just something you threw in at the end there?
No, that was intentional. So I got Brendan Fraser.
Could have made him Anakin's dad too.
It could have been Anakin's dad, but I feel like it's better to make him Han Solo's dad, because if we want to if we want to give some sort of nod to Han Solo in the prequel era, I feel like Han Solo's dad would need to be not a hero, not like Han Solo.
He's the complete opposite.
He's the complete opposite. He's just kind of he's a wimp that makes a little bit of a stand and gets killed immediately. He can't talk his way out of it. He can't do like cool like flips or whatever like Han Solo or blaster shots or whatever. He's just a cab driver that just got shot in the alley by Boba Fett or Jango Fett. And it also lays the seeds of a little bit of
it's always been a rivalry.
It's always been a rivalry with Boba Fett and Han. So there you go. That would be my Han's father story.
So why was the Jedi in it?
I mean, it provides some action. I mean, it's Star Wars. You got to throw some Jedi in it. And I thought it'd be cool to like explore like a dirty Jedi or something. And also something for like Jango Fett to do other than just like, I'm gonna go like shoot this senator or whatever. Actually, give him something like cool to do.
Someone cool to fight.
Yeah, because I wanted to make him more badass or whatever. Because the Fetts have never been that badass.
Well, Jango's probably been the most badass.
He has been the most badass, and I'm making him more badass. And director.
Oh yeah. Who's gonna direct?
I would get Paul Verhoeven to direct it.
From Showgirls fame.
Oh, I'm going for more RoboCop, Starship Troopers, Paul Verhoeven, because I want this to feel like a real like sleazy like. I want everything to feel just like very like this is the sleazy underbelly of the Star Wars universe, violent, funny, and I think Paul Verhoeven could probably pull that off better than anybody. He does a good sleazy.
He does a good sleazy.
Yeah, like this world that they're in is kind of like Star Wars, RoboCop, Detroit like world.
Total Recall.
Total Recall, yep. So yeah, that's what we're going for here.
Okay. Sequel ideas?
Sequel ideas?
Well, you don't have to do sequel ideas because I guess you did kind of have.
I mean, I kind of
It's an
killed
anthology.
them off. Yeah, I was thinking I wanted to go more anthology. If you did a sequel, I wouldn't know exactly what you'd do with this character of Billups, who was the star.
Billups Solo.
I mean, you could maybe go ahead and throw him into more like, situations where, maybe he's kind of like becomes the Forrest Gump of the Star Wars universe. Like, first movie he took on Jango Fett. Second movie he finds himself like amidst the Clone Wars somehow.
Yeah, well, maybe what happens is like you see him and he's about to die. And then the second one he wakes up and Jango Fett's like unfrozen him from carbonite or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've kept you around all these years or something like that, just for fun or whatever.
Yeah, because you were a good
reason.
driver.
And he's like, because
I
you were a
like to
good
torture
driver.
you.
And then he's like, why? So yeah, you could do something stupid.
Yeah,
like
or
that.
he wakes up and he's just in the hospital or something, and they're like, with modern Star Wars technology, we were able to, heal you with this laser blast. We gave you like a
laser blast.
We gave you like a synthetic liver or something like that. So now you got a robot liver. You're good.
So I
it's
can
annoying
drink all
because it
the alcohol
constantly
I
makes
want.
that noise. Well, no, don't. It's not that good.
Okay. Did you have another pitch, or was that the only Star Wars themed?
The only other one that I've got to pitch, and it's much less thought out, believe it or not. But let me see if I can bring this up here because I probably forgot the names. Vamp for me for a second.
Yeah, I always kind of had a cool opening for a Boba Fett movie. You know, they'd have to do it right after this one, but it would be essentially Boba Fett comes back, and maybe he climbs out of the Sarlacc pit, and he's like, Han Solo, I hate him or whatever. Han Solo did this to me. He wants revenge on Han Solo essentially. So of course, after the events of Force Awakens, Han Solo's dead. There's nobody for him to go after and kill, but he does go to his funeral, and everybody's at the funeral of Han Solo, and they're like, "Oh, Han Solo, we're so sad," and somebody's giving the eulogy, and they're like, "Oh, Han Solo was a great man, he'll be missed," and then just all of a sudden his casket explodes, everybody just starts getting mowed down with blaster lasers or something like that, and you see Boba Fett flying with his jetpack, just mowing down people with his blasters and stuff. And that'd just be a cool opening for a Boba Fett solo movie. Yeah. Or a movie where they're we have to go after Boba Fett. Yeah. So maybe Finn, Rey, and then we're we gotta go after Boba Fett now. Or maybe you don't have to have Rey there. It could just be it's in between Rey.
Yeah, because it would just be Boba Fett. I mean, maybe if you didn't want to bring all those people in, you don't do it at the funeral. It starts out, you see the headstone that says here lies Han Solo, and it's there's some sad Star Wars music, and then you just hear and just holes get shot through the thing, and then Boba Fett lands and it pees on it. No.
Or you see here lies Han Solo, and you just see a stream of yellow liquid spraying on the thing, and he's like,
yeah. Or maybe, you think, it starts out funny like that, but then it zooms up and he's just got a gas canister or whatever. And then he just lights it on fire. And then blows it up and then walks away.
And it's da-da-da.
So it's why did Han Solo hate him so much? But you'll know if you saw my movie.
Because he killed his father. No, his father killed his father.
Because his father killed his father because he wouldn't.
Or I guess technically he killed his father because that's his clone.
Because it's his clone. So he would have all the memories. He'd be
he's your dad didn't drive me somewhere
once. But my other movie here would be about the. Oh shit! Damn it!
Would be about the oh shit.
Oh, come on.
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties.
I did want to ask you about Poe Dameron.
Let me do this before I lose it again. The Figurin Dan Band. The Figurin Dan Band.
Okay, is it the band from the Cantina?
The Cantina Band. If you guys remember that classic song here. Because I went ahead and read their storyline, their biography a little bit, and it kind of sounds like it'd be a good movie. So I think another Star Wars anthology movie that's sort of just kind of like a Rey or Walk the Line type movie, but with this band. Because essentially it starts out, they're the biggest band in the world, right? During the prequel era. But by the time we get to the original series and we hear them playing that song in the cantina, they've just fallen all the way down to where they're just playing in this lowly little cantina here, where they used to be on top of the world with their hit song, which is called Mad About Me, which that's what the movie would be called. Star Wars Mad About Me, and it would be, a descent of drugs and women and things like that of this band.
Of those weird those weird face guys that play a weird saxophone.
Exactly. Figurin Dan and the rest of his band.
It'd be called Mad About Me.
Mad About Me, and Figurin Dan would be probably Joaquin Phoenix or something.
Who would direct it?
David Fincher.
David Fincher.
Yeah.
But he's never really directed a music biography movie. I thought maybe.
Yeah, but I think he could do it. You go with the very dark tone. A lot of drugs, a lot of.
Well, then it'd have some Trent Reznor music, so it'd be like. Dum, 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 dum,
Yeah, you have Trent Reznor do a cover for
It's
the
just like
trailer
real
and
dark
stuff.
and synthy
Do
and stuff.
do 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 do. Oh,
It's not metal music.
Trent Reznor wanted to add that in there.
It's like, well, of course, David, we gotta add that in there.
Like it just caps it off so well. So I think if they did like a music biography about their rise and then fall, and then ending on that part where they're like, we have to take this terrible gig at this cantina.
Yeah, well,
This
maybe
is
that's
nasty.
it. Maybe like it's like they all have broken up, but they all like wanted like we got to get the band back together one more time, and so they're like, all we could get was this gig at this cantina bar
cantina.
in Tatooine, and then it's then like setting up shop, and then they're like, all right, everybody, we got a classic one for you
Yeah,
here,
people.
and then they start playing it, and it's kind of like a sad moment because you're like, oh, they're playing the
that's
song
that
again.
biggest song.
And then, like, you see, like, he's like, I'm Han Solo, captain of the Millennium Falcon, and you're like, dun.
Yep. Cameo there by one of the main cast. So.
Just cut to the scene. Or you just hear it.
Yeah, or you just cut to that scene. I mean, or you know what? I wouldn't even do that. I would keep it from their perspective. So they're playing it there. Maybe one of them glances over. You see like the back of Han Solo's head or whatever sitting in that chair, and you see like Rito on the other side or something like that, and then you see like shots fired or something like that. So you never see like Han Solo actually, but you just kind of see it from their perspective.
Yeah, maybe
That's
it.
just like the horrible moment for them that they're like, we are in this horrible like bar where there's dudes shooting each other. I mean, we used to sell out stadiums, guys. Mad About You was a hit, and we're playing this. Mad About Me was a hit, and now we're playing in this seedy, nasty bar where dude gets shot there. Maybe even another scene where another dude arm gets cut off by a Jedi lightsaber.
Yeah, you have him get his arm cut off, and you're like, okay, well, maybe we can still keep on playing. And then they keep playing, and then they hear.
Yeah, and then at that point they just quit, and it's
okay,
just like a heroic moment where they're just like, we're done with this music.
Yeah, and they're like, okay, we're done, and then it like freeze frames, and then like titles
and then
come
it
up.
shows like Figure and Dan died by the side of the road or something, and then you have each member of
the band later broke up the same day, and Figure and Dan was found drunk and dead by the side of the road 2 weeks later or something like that.
Yep. So and so member died on the Death Star. Because maybe he had went there to like.
Yeah, he went there to perform. Or something
yeah, he went there to perform, some tracks from his solo album and stuff like that.
Yeah, you could have like one guy had made a solo album but died on the second.
Died on the Death Star, where he'd rented out recording space. Oh yeah, I'd see those two movies right there. Two anthology
and
movies.
You said it would be called Mad About Me.
It'd be called
Star
Wars Mad About Me. The true story of the figurine of the Cantina band. Yeah. You do like a sadder version where it's like
I don't know. That song's too happy.
It is too happy. You can't not smile when you're doing it. So yeah, you play that, but I'd see both of those movies. I'd see the fuck out of both of those movies.
Okay. And you said David Fincher. Okay. So
Yep.
David Fincher's directing this autobiographical movie about the Cantina Band, starring Joaquin Phoenix.
Yep, starring Joaquin Phoenix's Figure and Dan. You get some other people in there. I haven't thought it out that well, but you get some other people in there.
Yeah, two cool ideas. Like you said, I definitely see the fuck out of those movies. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's go into our final round here.
Final round. We'll play one round of the movie game here. Let's go ahead and double team this. Keeping in our Star Wars here, we'll do another Star Wars. We'll do another Star Wars spin-off movie here, but but we're going to go ahead and randomly generate two actors that are going to star in this here.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and double team this here. Our actors are Zac Efron and Jim Carrey.
In a Star Wars spin-off movie.
Star Wars spin-off movie, anywhere we want to go. Or sequel, I suppose, but Spinoff would be easier. What are you thinking?
I don't know. Do you have an idea?
Let me think here. Okay, so the only thing that keeps coming to my mind here with this is I think we could do sort of like an apt pupil type movie.
Okay.
Where Jim Carrey plays Jar Jar Binks, who is revealed in this movie to be an older Sith Lord who is now in hiding, much like Ian McKellen is a former Nazi in
Apt pupil.
Apt Pupil. This will take place maybe after Return of the Jedi. Jar Jar Binks is maybe like 70 years old or something like that. You know, Jim Carrey's going to be playing this with
Motion capture?
mocap. You know, he's
Andy
going to be
Serkis.
completely CGI. But we'll have Jim Carrey doing the voice and the motions and stuff like that of an older Jar Jar Binks who is evil. And Zac Efron is a young boy who happens upon Jar Jar Binks and eventually becomes more and more fascinated with Jar Jar Binks and Jar Jar Binks' obsession with the dark side. And eventually Jar Jar Binks starts to show the young boy Zac Efron the ways of the dark side, seducing him, much like an apt pupil.
Yeah, seducing him to the evil side and being like, you can become an evil Nazi like me.
Exactly.
Misa!
Just like Misa.
Misa will show you the ways of the dark side.
Yes, Misa will show you. Voiced by Jim Carrey, of course. So there we go. Took it down. Do you have
How would it end? Would it be like?
I think it would end with it would end on a bad note where it's like Zac Efron becomes Jar Jar Binks' apprentice, and Jar Jar Binks maybe sends him somewhere to maybe sabotage something.
Like sabotage, like a rebel resistance base or whatever.
Exactly.
A resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Resistance outpost.
Yep, a rebel resistance outpost or something. I guess if this is taking place after Return of the Jedi, then maybe you could have maybe a whole thing where it like cuts to even further in the future, and Jar Jar Binks is like, I sent him out, and he went and attacked a rebel outpost, but Luke Skywalker came in, chopped his head off.
Chopped his head off.
Jar Jar Binks has failed yet again.
But he never returned.
And he never returned. And that's how it would end. It would be
What would it be called?
Freaking Force Pupil.
Force pupil. Sith pupil.
Yeah. Well, you might call it...
Dark pupil?
Dark... Yeah, Dark Pupil wouldn't be bad. Although, Dark Pupil.
Who would direct it?
The Sith Lord's Apprentice. Who would direct it?
The Sith Lord. Like the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yeah. George Lucas.
George Lucas back and be like,
hey. George Lucas, I know you're sitting around sad and stuff like that, because you're not going to do Star Wars anymore. Guess what? We got a pitch for an awesome new Star Wars movie starring Jar Jar Binks. We're going to make him a Sith Lord. It's going to be like Apt Pupil.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're going to want to direct this. And he'd come back, and I think he'd make a good movie.
Or you'd be like, no, I don't want to direct it.
Yeah. Maybe you'd be like, no, I don't want to direct it. But maybe it would.
Maybe you would, and then we'd have George Lucas back.
And
We could say,
George
from the
Lucas back
director of the Star
The
Wars,
original Star Wars comes Dark Pupil
with Jar Jar Binks.
With
And
Jar
I'm
Jar
like,
Binks.
what?
as Jim Carrey. For some reason. Almost as if it was randomly generated.
As if it was randomly generated. Zac Efron and Jim Carrey give performances of their lives. Yeah, that was a random one.
It was a random one.
That was a random one. But yeah, that's all we have for today on our Star Wars week. Star Wars episode, I suppose.
Yep.
Since it's Star Wars week, we're sitting here with our Stormtrooper clothes and Princess Leia bun cuts.
Yep.
So,
I've got a Princess Leia button cut right now.
and I've got a Stormtrooper right here, too.
No one's buying it.
Okay. All right, well, for Movie Morons, I'm Holden Copeland.
And I've been Jackson.
And you guys have a good day.